I tell everyone that I interact with, I've had a good day at work when I have not had to pull anyone over, when I have not had to write a ticket, when I have not, had to take anyone to jail. So those are my good days. My name is Bojana, Radden. I am a police officer specialist first class here at William & Mary. My husband at the time, he applied here to be an officer, and the chief here at the time, Deb Cheeseborough, she said, hey, I hear that, you're certified, and however, we don't have a full-time position, but however, we do have a part-time. And then if you get that, in 3 months, we'll have an opening for full-time, and then you can reapply for that. So it was one of those, okay, that's fine. I wasn't really looking to go work at a college or a university. It was just not something that I thought about when I thought about law enforcement. And I was like, wow, this is so different from where I worked at, which was Roanoke County Police Department, where we were just on the go all the time. So when I came here, it was just, Williamsburg in general was a lot slower pace. So it was just, at first it was sort of like a culture shock to me, but then also just the college in itself. Like, everyone was just so welcoming and open, and it's been really, really wonderful. My parents, it's really, oh, you're a girl, you should go be a nurse, that sort of thing. So in nursing, I did that 11th grade and 12th grade. So I got my CNA, and then I was going for my RN. I'm like, it's not for me. And I got married really, really young, and I was sort of a stay-at-home mom for a long while. We had 2 kids, and when I was 30, I decided that, I really want to kind of pursue something that's meaningful to me. And that's sort of when I decided to go into law enforcement and applied to several agencies, and got hired with Roanoke County. When we are on day shift, there's more admin things to do, where we have to go to different buildings, if they need any pickups, or if there's any paperwork that needs to be taken to the courthouse. If we do have any sort of accidents, typically those are reported during the day. Larcenies, bike larcenies, that's probably the biggest one that we do have as far as crime related. And then also, this is when officers will go do their community engagement with their assigned buildings, and go around and speak to faculty and staff and students and make connections that way. Night shift typically consists of just our briefing, and then we do have directed patrols. So we're just making sure that we're visible and that we're seen. And we do our building lockups. We've also checked the emergency phones that we have on campus. And then also that's when we catch up on any sort of paperwork or reports and follow up on different reports. I was born in former Yugoslavia, which is now, that part I consider Serbia. I'm Serbian, my father's Serbian, and my mom is Serbian and Hungarian. So I was born in the mid-90s there in Serbia, and early 90s is when the civil war started in Yugoslavia, and that's how the country broke up. And my dad, he fought in the war. He was in prison. So he went to a war prison camp. He was there for, I want to say 8-10 months or so. And then during that time, my family, well, my mom and my sister and myself, we went to Berlin, Germany while he was there. At some point, the Red Cross came in, and they sort of did a prisoner exchange, so to speak, from different camps. My dad got out, and then we were able to, I was so young, I don't remember, but I know it was an immigration program that we got on, and after about a year or 2 of a wait, a church from Richmond sponsored us, and we were able to come to the States. But right after high school, my grandmother, when I was 18 or 19, my grandmother committed suicide. She hung herself, and so this is something that my family has been dealing with over time. And then throughout the years, I found out that it was not only her that suffered with mental health issues, it was also all of her siblings and then all of her nieces and nephews. So on her side of the family, it's been quite a bit of either attempted suicides or completed suicides. And that was something that I wasn't aware of. And then I struggled throughout my life later on, blaming myself essentially, thinking to myself, if I saw the signs, if I knew the signs, I would have been able to help her. Even though I was only 18, I didn't know any better, but it was the fact that I was the last one that saw her, last one that spoke to her, and the fact that she was like, I love you, forgive me, and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to work, I'll be right back kind of thing. So that has sort of led me into law enforcement. And what I enjoy is that here, I'm able to help with that. Any sort of mental health crises that someone might come across. That's sort of my passion, my baby, more so than anything else. And I've always said that, if I save one life, then I'm okay with that. And here on campus, if a student is going through a crisis, I feel better at knowing that I have the knowledge needed to talk to them and how to speak to them and what questions to ask, and be able to have resources available on hand to help with them, to help with those things that they might be facing. And it was several years ago. It was just one of those calls. Hey, we have a student. She's talking about suicide. She's wanting to die and she doesn't want to be here any longer. And I sort of did what I do with everyone. I went on the call, talked to her, got her the help that she needed. And so that was that. Well, a few years after that, we were at Sadler Terrace doing, I couldn't even tell you what event it was, but she saw me, ran up to me, hugged me. We both started crying, and she's like, thank you so much. You've helped me. You saved me that day. Thank you for being there for me. So that was sort of I know I've helped other students, I've talked to other students, but that was the one that was close to my heart. As far as the police brutality goes, I know some agencies and departments have had to adjust, but me personally as an officer, I've always believed you get there. As soon as you have control of the situation, bring it down and treat them like human beings, whoever this person is. And we are an open campus, so we don't only deal with students. So we do deal with a vast, different types of people that come and go through our campus. Well, what would be considered major for William & Mary, for instance, it would be someone who's not even affiliated kind of thing. But same thing again, treat them with respect, with dignity, if you have to, because things can get out of hand, and they are out of hand when once you arrive. Sure, if they're here and you're here, but immediately bring it down. So it's all in how you speak to people. I am such a firm believer in that, because letting someone know, hey, listen, I am here because I have to be here. This is my job. You know what you did wrong, and it is wrong. So let's go on to resolve this. And that has honestly, just the way I've spoken to people, that has helped me so much and others when interacting and when going on calls, whether it's with our students or someone that's not affiliated. So with me personally, again, I've fortunate enough, I haven't had to sort of adjust to the way I police myself, and also coming from a different culture, a different background, and being exposed, I know that people communicate differently. So you have to be able to pick up on those cues and go from there. So honestly, there has not been a whole lot of pushback. I'm able to do my job on a daily basis with without any sort of huge obstacles. I feel like we have such a strong community here, and I know that there are students that are receptive, to law enforcement, and they kind of see all of this, and it's like, ooh, I don't know about that, but I try to be very personable with the students or faculty and staff that I do come across, and be as helpful as I can. If there is some pushback, it's because someone's done something wrong and they know they've done it, they've done the wrong thing, and so it's sort of those things. But even when some departments were going through some really, really rough times, I can really say that we've been blessed here in our William & Mary community. I just love meeting new students, and just come to us, like, not just to me, but like if you see us out and about, I just almost be like, don't even look at any of this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, we are people just like anyone else, like at the end of the day, yes, I am here to do my job, but there's so much more. There's so much more. We want to build those relationships and that trust between students, faculty, staff, and our department and our agency. And they also know that, hey, maybe I haven't necessarily had great experience with law enforcement, but I know I can call Officer Radden, and she'll be able to guide me, or she'll be able to help me, or whatever the case is. We'll figure it out together, So I'm here, honestly, open arms. Whoever needs whatever they need. I think it's so important, and that's what I would want our students to know.
So my name is Isaiah Johnson. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator here at William & Mary Police Department. And initially when I first came here, I came to visit for a family reunion. Had family in the area, so they kind of like showed me around, and Williamsburg was like the primary location. I thought it would be better for a better environment for the kids, and moved down, and I've been here since. So growing up, my dad used to always watch Judge Mathis. And like the different court shows, like Judge Judy and Judge O'Brown and stuff like that. So I always felt like I resonated most with Judge Mathis. So I was like, oh, I want to grow up and be a judge and stuff. And then when you get into like the process of it, and as life is going on, that just didn't turn out to be the plans for me. I always had a interest in law enforcement. I never really took it serious until I got older. Prior to that, I always had like a knack for helping people, and just showing up and being a person that people can call on. I started out, I was a correction officer at Virginia Peninsula Regional Jail. Primarily, I was in the units, so I would work and be the unit officer. And I was just at work one day, and I decided that, hey, I think that I want to give the other side of law enforcement a chance and not just being like inside the jail. So I feel like I would be a better fit or more helpful on the outside. So I decided to look for police officers, and this was the first thing that popped up, which, you know, I think it just happened by fate, because it probably was the best decision that I made. I want to say life just, you know, presented the doors and I walked through them. So when I started, I was doing security before I started doing corrections. And at that time, there were a lot of like off-duty deputies or correction officers who were working, you know, security. So they would always talk about it, and that's basically how I got exposed to it. So I decided to take a look into it and try it out for it, and it was a fit. So then I think it was just, at that time, it was possibly what I needed at that time, but not something that I wanted to stay in long term. So my time at the police academy was fun. Every academy that I went to was just like a great experience. I've had a great batch of people that I work with. I still keep in contact with them now to this day. But it was more so like you're just going to school with a bunch of like-minded people from all over the world. I think you're always going to improve after going to the academy. Prior to like going to the academy for corrections, I had never had any exposure to like corrections or correction officers or anything like that, or law enforcement per se. So when I went back for basic law enforcement, I didn't have an inside view on what it looked like. So I think afterwards, it kind of helps shape you in certain ways of just how you should carry yourself in law enforcement, things that you should know about. A lot of your experience really comes when you get back to your department. So when you're at the academy, everything is so strict. It's so strict, it's so structured, but you don't really get to the meat and potatoes until you get to your department and really learn the way of your department. So when I first came here in May of 2017. So coming here on my interview, I felt like everyone was super relatable. I think that during my interview, everyone seemed to be very family oriented. So that was one of the things that I liked about it. And coming here and being on campus, I've seen that amongst the campus. Everyone is kind of like, hey, how can I help? Or what can I do to help out with this? Or can we collaborate on something? So I am the community engagement coordinator. So I oversee the CEO program along with my sergeant, Sergeant Montemayor. So the CEO program is a way for us to interact with the students on campus, and not only the students, but the faculty as well. So we divide the campus amongst the officers, and each officer is assigned an area. So in the past, like my area has been athletics, the frats, Lemon and Hardy, and just different halls on campus. So our goal is to just go out and be more proactive. And how do we problem solve? How can we cut back on larcenies? How can we minimize crime on campus? How can we bring more awareness to the campus? How can we help educate the community? How can we be there for the community? And how can we help? So aside from the CEO program, I work with different organizations on campus. You're probably gonna see me at a bunch of events, or if not all of the events. So some of my favorite events to attend, I would say most definitely is Train Like an Alpha, Stomp Fest. I like all of Barbershop's events. I would say that one of my most memorable moments here would be I did a lot of Bridge the Gap meetings with students. So initially, Barbershop reached out to me, and I started working with them and the members of the Barbershop. And I've been like a regular attendee since then. I would say that police brutality has been going on like way before 2020. So it wasn't something new to me. It was just probably this time around dealing with it from this side. But it wasn't anything new. So I think that being in law enforcement and, like being where I'm at presently in life or like my career, compared to like where I've come from, like growing up and stuff like that, I think the biggest challenge has just been finding the middle between that, right? For most of my like law enforcement career, I've kind of struggled with like where I'm from versus where I'm trying to go, and kind of like being stuck in the middle, right? So when you mentioned earlier in your question before about like police brutality, I think coming from where I came from, that is pretty much all that I've seen. So then deciding to be on the other side, I think coming into it, I wanted to be just place myself in the rooms that matter. I think that a lot of people who, put on uniform or come into these careers, they only have the book side of things, but they've never really lived it or experienced it. So when it comes in terms of like speaking for diversity or how things make the community feel, I thought that I would be more of an impact, or I would have more of an impact just basically being in the rooms that, decide those things. So I think that was the biggest hurdle for me, was like navigating where I'm from, where I'm trying to go. I would want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for being supportive. Thank you for, the shout outs when I walk into a building or a room, or the acknowledgement when I'm driving by in the vehicle. Just the participation when I'm hosting an event, the support that they show even if the event is off campus.